You think Common Ground is worth a buck? Consider leaving a tip at lptv.org. Lakeland Public Television presents Common Ground, brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
When I'd go on, when I'd be on, well, some of the reservations, I remember someone saying something that I thought was very interesting. An Ojibwe person, he said, well, you know, English is our second language, but we don't have a first language anymore. And I knew that when I would talk to the kids sometimes, that they didn't have the language that fit the broader concepts by which they were trained. They had to instead filter it through English, and they give up sometimes. They just shut up and go silent and say, I don't know, I can't explain it, and put their heads down. And a lot of that was just being quiet people, but a lot of it was that the language didn't articulate what it was that was in their hearts. And when you take that away from someone, you're taking their heart away from them. And that allows me to say something that just about writing in general. You know, writing is a funny craft. People go into it for different reasons. A lot of people think there's something. Well, writing is everybody uses language. And so everyone thinks they can write. But the purpose of writing, to me, is to teach and to illuminate. And if my writing isn't teaching and illuminating, then why am I doing it? Empty pirouettes, empty linguistic pirouettes don't matter to me. I've got to be touching people's hearts with the writing, and I've got to be trying to change them a little bit or have them say, yes, this articulates something that I haven't articulated for myself. And in the case of my work with Native people, that is something that I think is very important for them, to read it and say, yeah, this is what I think, but I've never said it that way. Or this is what I've heard, but I've never said it that way. So I have to be absolutely authentic to the thoughts and feelings of the people that whose thoughts I'm trying to express, because all I want to do is, like I said, illuminate and teach. Illuminate and teach. That's what writing is all about for me. And
that's the great thing about those books, Neither Wolf Nor Dog and A Wolf at Twilight, is that it's not just solely from your perception. You know, that's you got people in there that you know, it's heavily influenced by Dan and Grover. You know, they in a sense are the content of the book and how they in their perception of reality, and it's like you're sort of like just documenting it, you know, and expressing how that helps you understand their reality.
well, that's the dilemma. I work in the first person. I've got myself as the first person point of view, but ultimately, I don't care about myself. I'm an auditor and a viewer of the world around me, and hopefully I can put it together in a cogent fashion so someone will be able to draw some conclusions from it or have be led to some understanding through it. But ultimately, I don't care about the me in the book. I wouldn't be a writer if I cared about me. I mean, there are some writers who love that sort of self-aggrandizing invention of it. But I mean, one of my great philosophical teachers is the Wizard of Oz. You know, that pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, and I like to be the man behind the curtain. And so the person I put out there very often is a persona for the purpose of looking at the world around me and putting it together in a way that someone might not see otherwise. And you know, going beyond the Native books, the idea is to find the sacred in the ordinary. That's what I want to do in my work. And by sacred, I mean, maybe that's the touch point where I find the Native world so fascinating, because that sense of the sacred pervading everything. I don't care how funky a Native person's reality is, the spirituality is key. to their lives, and it's pervasive. It's pervasive to their language, they're pervasive to their way of doing things. You see kids will sit around a pipe and pass the pipe. Even though they don't necessarily know what it means, they will respect the elders if they're raised halfway right. They have a feeling for the sacredness of culture and experience. And we all need to get that. We all need to get it, and it's a gift that the Native people have to offer the rest of us. And all I'm trying to do in my writing is to draw attention to the sacred moments in the ordinary. And I mean, like that last book I got done, this little book I just did called Ordinary Sacred. It's just moments of where the sacred breaks into or breaks through the ordinary dimension of everyday life. And I think that, that's one of the things I like about Neither Wolf Nor Dog. And, well, like the characters in there, because they're pretty tawdry characters. And life is pretty ordinary, and you're living low. There's, dogs peeing on things, and there's folks, drunks wandering around, and yet there are elevated statements. Everything is of a piece. Nothing breaks down into the sacred and the profane, or the sacred and the ordinary. The power of mystery in life is there everywhere. And that was one of the gifts that I felt I first learned when I worked on Red Lake, and I feel it now. Every time I go anywhere, you go to Pine Ridge, or the work I did with the Nez Perce, Martin and his dad, wherever I run into Native people, there is that yearning for an expression of the power of mystery, the great mystery in life. And that's, to me, something we need to get back in our American culture. And they have it to offer, and we need to learn how to hear it, and we need to learn how to share it. And
break the negative stereotypes.
Break the negative stereotypes.
Create the positive ones.